Okay, hello, welcome everyone. While people are joining, I will just introduce this AMA. This is part of a continuing series of PowerPool AMAs featuring projects that are building on the Power Agent Automation Network. For those of you who don't know anything about PowerPool, we are a service network. We operate the Power Agent Automation Network, which is a network of keepers that is truly decentralized, truly open source, truly trustworthy. And we encourage other projects to build upon our automation framework because it is completely consistent with the Ethereum ethos of decentralization, open source, and trustworthy automation. Today, we have the Daoism Venture Studio. We've had them on once before, but today we're going to focus on one of their DeFi projects, the DeFi Asset Management Project. It's their Genesis project. It's a project under the sort of heading of Daoism, SupremeDAO, and it is going to be the first of many asset management projects for SupremeDAO, and this particular strategy is just the first of many. In addition, Daoism is a venture studio. They have many other projects in the pipeline, and many of these projects will also use the Power Agent Automation Network to supply automation services, and potentially in the future also off-chain compute services. So with that, I'd just like to introduce, if he's here, Arseny. But first of all, I'd also like to introduce from PowerPool, we have our Director of Research, Vasily Sumanov. He'll be answering questions a bit later on. So let's see, I think it looks like Arseny's joined with his personal account, so I can't really recognize him, but
I'm okay, from SupremeDAO account, okay. Yeah.
All right, so this is Arseny from SupremeDAO. He will take over and describe more about the relationship between Daoism, SupremeDAO, and the Genesis strategy. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for the intro. Yeah, my name is Arseny. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Daoism Systems. Daoism Systems is a venture studio as well as a research and development studio focusing on the intersection of DAOs and DeFi. So our main venture right now that we are focusing on is called SupremeDAO. SupremeDAO's big vision is to become sort of an on-chain DAO governed fund, which operates with as a sort of decentralized network of agents that are automatically participating in high yield opportunities across DeFi. And yeah, that's sort of the main vision. Currently, we are working on our Genesis strategy. It's an MVP of what those strategies and automated agents can do. So in this Genesis strategy, we focus on bridging together several mechanisms and DeFi protocols such as crvUSD, Balancer, Aura, and Paladin. The main goal of the strategy is to give a significant yield on wstETH. So by integrating these multiple primitives together, we can basically generate quite a significant yield on wstETH. And the plan is to showcase capabilities of this system with SupremeDAO Genesis strategy, and then move forward to implement the bigger vision, which is operating as a fully automated DAO governed on-chain fund.
Well, that sounds perfect. As you know, PowerPool are the original gangsters of automated DeFi. I mean, we innovated things like flexible weights and auto optimization with projects like Yearn Lazy Ape and other baskets and vaults. What was it that led you to pick PowerPool or Power Agent as your automation platform?
So as Daoism Systems, we had a great connection with PowerPool, and when even from before the days when PowerPool was part of the balancer ecosystem, and I was working on Prime DAO, we already were in contact, and we see that a lot of values are aligned. So yeah, we reached out to PowerPool. We checked this Power Agent network, which seemed pretty cool and was solving exactly the issues that we need, such as automated smart contract execution. Right now, a lot of actions on chain happen manually, meaning that a user should sign transactions by themselves. And sometimes, especially if you're working on multi-step strategies, automation is crucial. So that's how we reached out to PowerPool, and they were kind enough to give us a grant to develop our Genesis strategy. And that's how we started.
Okay. And you mentioned that today we'll talk primarily about the Genesis strategy that you described, because that one is the first in the pipeline. But what other kinds of longer term strategies do you see coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely exploring more possibilities, especially in the field of eigenlayer, because risk-taking is really hot right now. And we can easily manage, imagine SupremeDAO strategy that is focusing on eigenlayer risk-taking.
I think that's interesting as well. One reason being that a lot of people believe that holding a single liquid risk-taking token is really very risky, and that the best thing to do is to make a basket of different LRT tokens to get a lower risk and a higher return, given that the underlying yields are all subject to a random lottery in terms of ETH staking rewards and MEV. So do you see something like that, where you could be running baskets of LRTs and offering those as opposed to a single LRT token?
Yeah, definitely. It's an opportunity right there. Or, for example, even if we want to mitigate the risks of LRTs themselves, because they could be quite risky as well. We can have a strategy that participates directly in the eigenlayer staking. But baskets of LRTs also sounds like a very interesting idea. We'll think about it and maybe implement it further along the road.
I mean, the basket strategy can also be addressed to LSTs. There's a similar logic for liquid staking tokens, that it's better to put them in baskets, because you get a higher block coverage, so that's better return, and you get lower contract risk, so that's lower risk. But the really interesting thing is the combination, because if you have a basket of LSTs, they're looking for extrinsic yield. And people don't really borrow LSTs that much. So you're either LPing LSTs or you're putting them into LRTs. And so you can actually have a family of baskets. You can have an LST basket farming an LRT basket for extrinsic yield.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a possibility. But right now we are focusing on more, I would say, more established projects, such as Aura, for example. And we are definitely seeing a future when SupremeDAO is managing this DAO governed liquidity on Balancer, for example, and using Aura's power to boost up the yield. And for example, through Paladin, we could then even have the yield generation more sustainable. So through like this Paladin V tokenomics optimization mechanics, we can generate a better and more sustainable yield.
That sounds good. Vasily, are you with us?
Yeah, hi guys.
Yep.
I just wanted to jump in.
Yeah, could you sort of give some background in terms of what Power Agent has done to facilitate these kinds of automated DeFi solutions?
Yep, I can, but the Isola was saying something, so I think let's start from his speech, first of all.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to add that my name is Ilya, co-founder of Daoism Systems and partner from Arseny. That the big goal of SupremeDAO is to launch our token YAI, which is backed by different basket of assets and strategies. So our goal is to implement a range of different strategies based on LRT, based on Aura, or another strategies we have in pipeline, and accumulate the yield in one token, which is represented by YAI. So this how we will distribute the risks over different strategies and generate, try to get the best yield from the market possible. Yeah, I hang over to Vasily, maybe to your question.
Yep. Yeah, I will provide some brief overview on decentralized automation, and after that, I think it will be really important to focus on the current Genesis strategy, discuss it, and share more knowledge on how it works, and the most importantly, where the money comes from. Because in DeFi, sophisticated users are always asking this question, because if you have some good yield or high yield there, it's people are starting to think, okay, where the yield comes from wouldn't there be some rect or something like that? So since in SupremeDAO, Genesis strategy comes all from the legit sources and can be easily explained how this yield is layered and where it comes from. I think we also need to focus on this topic during the IMA. Yeah, but let's start with the PowerPool automation. Yeah, so PowerPool is an automation network, or how it should be named in these current narratives. It's a GP network, so it's a network of physical infrastructure, truly. So it's a network of real nodes that's running special software created by PowerPool. And this software allows to send transactions according to some predefined conditions. And also this software uses an RPC endpoint to get all the information, all the events from the blockchain. And we strongly advise our node runners, more than 150 node runners, totally on different networks so far, to use the private RPCs hosted by themselves due to some RPC instability in case of public RPCs that people try to use. There can be some delays in events delivery or some limits on requests. So this is why we strongly advise to use private RPCs, and this is why a lot of validators in Gnosis, for example, they use PowerPool because they already have an RPC. The same can be applied to Ethereum and to other POS networks, where validators and solo stakers have an opportunity to run PowerPool node on top of the existing validator setup and just start earning fees. So yeah, as I said before, the PowerPool is a DP network with some nodes, physical nodes launch it. So what these nodes do, these nodes send transactions according to predefined strategies. So, and these strategies are stored in the origin contract, the main contract of the network. It is deployed separately on every chain. For example, on Ethereum it's one contract, on this chain is a separate contract, on Arbitrum and so on is the separate contracts. So this contract, it contains the information about all the tasks and all the keepers registered to the network. So the tasks, it's a basically the smart contract with the number of actions, what should be done and why and when. So we had two main uh, types of jobs so far. It was a interval job when some action should be repeatedly done over some period of time, for example, every 12 hours, every 1 hour or something like that. So, for example, the DCA strategies, they're buying or selling assets over time. And this is a perfect and simple example to understand that you have a lot of manual actions that you can avoid if you use PowerPool. So the limit order is the like one-time repeated action, just one-time action that is done according to some more complicated logic. For example, if Ethereum will reach some certain price, sell Ethereum, or if Ethereum will drop to some certain price to buy Ethereum. So it's um, a resolver type of job. So the second type of job, they contain some logic which is not periodically based, but based on some on-chain conditions. For example, Ethereum price or price of some other asset. So and or some liquidation protection contract, which is based on the health factor of the position. It's also the example of this resolver type of job. And the third type of job so far that just recently implemented some off-chain resolvers jobs, so we can use some other conditions store them in IPFS. This concept is widely known in Web3 like Web3 functions. So yeah, you can use some other date or some other information to use it as a condition to execute something, to make some transaction. Yeah, so basically when the condition is met, for example, the time interval, that block timestamp reached the some particular time, or the on-chain condition was met, some keeper from the network should sign this transaction and execute the whole strategy defined in the contract. So and this keeper is selected by the network itself, so it's not like Kiev where the keepers are selected one by one, or some guess auction that is done in some other networks. So in PowerPool, keepers are selected by the random mechanism called rundown in Ethereum POS, or in Gnosis chain, which uses Ethereum POS consensus efficiently, or in some other rollups like Arbitrum, we use Chainlink verifiable random function for that. So basically, it's the verifiable random. And also, we developed our own PowerPool-based verifiable random function. And we plan to deploy it on all other chains that not support the Chainlink VRF or Ethereum POS consensus to have all this randomness, verifiable randomness available there, like Scroll, like Optimism networks, for example. So yeah, PowerPool soon will act not only as a keeper network that signs transactions, but also as a network that supplies the verifiable randomness to different chains. And we have some projects, for example, Scroll, that are interested in that so far at this time. So yeah. And if but let's return to the keeper operations themselves. So if keeper was selected to sign a transaction or to execute the job, as we call it, and if he didn't do it on the proper time, it can be slashed by some other keepers who in the network. So there is a specifically selected slasher, designated slasher for a keeper who has an ability to slash him to penalize his stake and execute transaction instead of him in case of misbehavior. And the main misbehavior so far is just avoiding signing transactions. For example, if you're operating the liquidation protection job and the keeper wouldn't sign transaction on time and save you from liquidation, you can be liquidated and lose some part of your stake, of your liquidity in the position as a penalty for liquidators. For example, in MakerDAO, 30%, and some other protocols like around 7 or 10% of the whole position provided. So it's a quite substantial amount for the user. It can be lost. So this is why we're focusing on reliability of keeper executions. And yeah, the slashing mechanics is one of the core points here that solve this problem. So yeah, as I didn't mention that, but we need to add this, that all our keeper nodes taking CVP, the PowerPool native token. So at this moment, and the PowerPool active native token works as a work token model. So it means that this token, if it is staked and you operate a node, so if you stake it, you carry some risks to be slashed in case of misbehavior. And if you do the conditional action of signing transactions, you're seeing the cash flow. And the cash flow is denominated in the currency that is used for gas payment. So it's Ethereum in Ethereum network, Ethereum in, for example, Arbitrum network, because rollups are commonly using Ethereum as a gas payment token. But for example, in Gnosis chain, it's XDAI. If we will launch PowerPool on the Mental network, we will use the Mental token, because in the Mental, they use a Mental token as a gas payment token. Also, so yeah, so it is depending on the nature of the blockchain or rollup design and how it's designed to work. So yeah, so finally, like long story short, if someone runs the PowerPool Keeper node, he needs to stake tokens. He is exposed to the sub-slashing risks if the transaction wouldn't be signed on time. But at the same time, user receives some execution fees, so he get a gas compensation and execution fees on top of that. So basically, the PowerPool node unlocks the cash flow in a network native token, as I said before, Ethereum and Ethereum, Gnosis, and so on. So efficiently, CVP is a token that unlocks cash flow in case of all actions that are necessary to be done by Keeper node are done. So this is the basic the network design. So and this slashing and staking mechanics, it ensures the economic security of the network and the honest behavior of agents. And this is critically important for such complicated products like SupremeDAO Genesis strategy, which is based on the CDP position and all this world compounding stuff. Yeah, so I think this was the brief overview, like an introduction to PowerPool. So if you want to earn some fees, you can launch nodes, take test tokens. So at this moment, PowerPool is like open beta testing. So we're still using some testing tokens as a collateral for the node, just to avoid some unnecessary like liquidations in case of some users RPC problems and so on. But we plan to move to the mainnet tokens that have some value, that are traded on exchanges, and yeah, really soon. So all the nodes will be forced to change their stakes to real PowerPool tokens. But the good piece of news here is that we plan to provide some node grants to node operators to provide some minimal stakes to them, so that if you are running node in PowerPool, you will get some minimal stake for free from the from the DAO treasury, which is sick. So yeah, and also it's worth mentioning that every week PowerPool Keeper nodes, they're receiving some CVP tokens. I mean the mainnet CVP tokens that are also traded and from liquidity for the operations as the incentive, and also for some bug fixing, bug reports, and some educational content for other node operators. So yeah, this is a like community-based incentive program that we run, and we're proud to provide more and more CVP to users who contribute to the network.
Okay, thank you, Vasily. I noticed we have Paladin on the co-hosting. Do you want to say some things about Paladin's role in this Genesis strategy?
I was listening in a bit now. It's impressive to see how PowerPool has evolved. I remember when I actually was working around PowerPool, there was very interesting solutions around indexes, governance basket, and governance lending, which is what we initially also did at Paladin. So I'm glad to see that the projects who are working in the same niche as us have slowly evolved into some very interesting DeFi use cases today. In general, what we're helping SupremeDAO with is supercharging the yield by enabling them to play the Zapping function into LPs and using the bribe multipliers on different AMMs they're going to play on to supercharge the yield, basically. So what we do at Paladin is that today we have both marketplaces, and in general, we help projects grow their liquidity on chain. But this can also be used to supercharge yield, like SupremeDAO wants to do with YAI.
Yeah, I just want to add here that the PowerPool started from the meta governance concept so far, and I'm so excited that such projects like Paladin, they implemented their own vision, and the Ed Bribes was like efficiently this vision that how it should work really. So, and congratulations with that. So it's really cool. And for yield strategies and yield products, I think the bribe markets and the opportunity to provide bribes and receive more yield on particular pools and strategies is very important. So it's a like cornerstone piece of modern DeFi stack. So yeah, guys, I'm really happy that you're also a part of the SupremeDAO Genesis strategy and you're making all of this possible.
What's actually interesting, and I'm realizing as I'm hearing you speak, is that a lot of what I would call dApps, which are not actually protocols but are purely apps on chain, have some part of off-chain computations, and they could benefit from what you guys are building at PowerPool. So I'm keen on exploring more. And yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add here that we are really working a lot on off-chain computations and including the ZK proofs and making it all in a trustless way. So and really a lot of dApps and a lot of yield strategies. They could abstract some computations from on-chain environment to off-chain and save a lot of gas fees on that, and yeah, just make it really work much cheaper than now. Yeah, but anyway, so I think let's return to the SupremeDAO Genesis strategy. So I think that is a good time, like, to make maybe some pitch of how it works, where the money comes from, and how much yield can be generated on Ethereum. Because at this moment, when all the people are chasing the some points and some restaking yields, and so the Ethereum is now the key asset in, I think, in the whole crypto space for yield generation, right? People staking it into some liquid staking projects, after that they stake there to some Renz, Kelp, and a lot of other restaking applications on top of Eigenlayer, so they make a points, restaking on restaking, points on points, and so on. And since the SupremeDAO, as far as I know, also plan to launch their own points program in order to to distribute some airdrop tokens to the long-term and long-term users and early adopters. So I think could SupremeDAO elaborate more on the points program, on the strategy in general, how it works, where it will come from, etc.
Yeah, totally. So the points is just the idea that we explore right now because of, of sort of market demands around the points. On our first launch, we don't expect any points to be implemented, but they will definitely come in later, maybe even retrospectively for the participants of the Genesis strategy. But yeah, let me talk a little bit more about the Genesis strategy and how it works. So basically, yeah, we don't have our token right now, and we are mostly working with other people's liquidity pools on Bouncer and Aura. And what we want to offer our users is to basically, they can stake wrapped stake Ether into the system. And this wrapped staked Ether will be used as a collateral on crvUSD. So then there's going to be a loan taken from crvUSD from their CDP. And this loan will be swapped into the tokens of the liquidity pool that we are planning to farm. So in this case, these tokens would be staked in the liquidity pool, and they will start generating yield. This yield will be automatically swapped into either wstETH or crvUSD based on the health of the CDP. So basically, it's going to be an automated health management of the CDP, and Paladin in this case will be used for maintaining the yield on those pools that we are participating in through bribes markets to make sure that the yield is sustainable and that our users are getting enough profits. I saw what Ilya. What do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, you mainly say that the main focus is on automation. So, like you see, we have a multi-level strategy to optimize and increase yield with help of Paladin, and we automate all the processes using Power Engines in this case. And we launched the strategy in few days. It should be launched next week or latest week after. And then we will present another strategies which will come up later.
Yeah. So this is the Genesis strategy that we are aiming to sort of showcase the capabilities of SupremeDAO, and future strategies could be very similar to the Genesis one, but maybe we'll be focusing on another pools, not the one that we will use right now. And the plan is to launch multiple strategies, automated strategies in the future, and then we will work on bringing it all under the umbrella of EI token. So the EI token will be representing sort of a share of a user within the system. And we plan to so that the yield that is being generated by the strategies will be directly represented in the price of the asset. So no rebalancing or yield in some unsustainable, like in liquid tokens. The yield is going to come in wstETH. And then it will be represent like it will be under this umbrella of a EI token. That's basically the reason why we like to call ourselves as like automated DAO governed on-chain fund, because that's what we are aiming to accomplish. Maybe we can even talk a little bit about where the DAO comes in. So the DAO here is very crucial because the DAO will have the capabilities of whitelisting or delisting strategies. So we expect Daoism systems and other participants in the DAO to design and develop these strategies, and then token holders of SupremeDAO will be able to participate in the governance and whitelist these strategies, basically adding them to the system and providing more opportunities for the protocol participants.
So does the SupremeDAO charge a management fee, and is that reflected in the value of Y as the YAI token as well?
So there is going to be a fee, like performance fee on the strategies. But actually, our main goal is to have DAO governed liquidity and participate in those pools as a DAO as well, to sort of provide liquidity to these pools and generate a treasury for the DAO, so we can keep on going with the development and fund our operations.
So the YAI token is effectively connected to SupremeDAO, but Daoism is a studio. So you have other activities outside of SupremeDAO someday. Are those captured in the YAI token as well, or a separate token?
So this like Daoism systems activities are not captured in the YAI token, YAI. It's because Daoism Systems is more of a company that is, building these ventures and providing these services to the DAOs. But we definitely bring our network on board, because as Daoism Systems, we worked with multiple projects. We are pretty well connected in the community, so we want to leverage this sort of knowledge and soft power of Daoism Systems for the prosperity of SupremeDAO.
Right. And what is the launching, what is the token generation event distribution? How are you going to get YAI out there? Just in return for TVL, or how is it going to be distributed?
Yeah, so basically, YAI will not have any pre-mint. It's like when we launch the system, the users would be able to provide their tokens to SupremeDAO, to YAI, to mint this YAI, and then these funds will be picked up by the agent, by the strategy, and will be allocated in some high yield opportunities.
Okay, so it's basically a next generation automated investment company where people put TVL into SupremeDAO, and SupremeDAO whitelists a variety of highly automated strategies, and the returns come back through a single token called YAI.
Yeah.
The AI, is that somehow connected to artificial intelligence, or is that not involved in any of these strategies?
Actually, it's a great question, because we were thinking about strategies being managed by AI, but it's a very early stage idea, nothing that we are actively working on right now. But the name of YAI comes, it's inspired by by DAI or RAI, this sort of tokens. There is a high token that recently appeared. So YAI stands for Yield Automated Instrument. And yeah, because like in the early days of SupremeDAO, we were exploring stablecoins actually, and we were thinking how these automated strategies and the basket of assets could create a sort of new generation of stablecoins. But then we realized that that's just not the direction that we want to pursue. We don't expect YAI to be stable. And yeah, we expect it to appreciate in price if the fund is working well, or yeah, if something's going the wrong way, then it's also could reflect in the price of the asset. But that being said, the strategies that we are developing, they could also be used to support the price of YAI. For example, if there is some sort of event of like massive selling of YAI is happening, we could have a strategy that will be buying it back and burning it, so that we really expect these strategies to benefit YAI holders in the long run.
Well, you could just set up a power agent task to put your stops in place. But the issue of AI, I mean, is something that PowerPool, we have to wrestle with as well. At the end of the day, AI, all it does is generate intents. And they might be good intents, and they might be bad intents, and they might need a billion GPU flops. But at the end of the day, they're just intents. So what's interesting for us as Power Agent is the way that the executions get automated. I mean, one future is that everyone running an AI model has their own home-rolled keeper bot, which is a single point of failure, and also is a lot of extra work. So we think that AI people should generate intents and then literally hand them over to Power Agent. But this is a open conversation, if you like, that's going on everywhere.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think AI, by being able to process big amounts of data, they can make decisions on some sort of like resource allocations in the different strategies. But maybe in the future, a year from now, or I don't know exactly when, we can have a strategy that is not that much of algorithmic, the way how we design it right now, but more of, when there is an AI agent that has, for example, the full power to decide where to provide liquidity and what yield opportunities to take on.
Yeah, I mean, my own opinion is that in terms of vaults and baskets and DeFi optimization, the data is all on chain and the computations don't require, massive GPU farms. And that, in PowerPool, we're trying to develop the off-chain compute capabilities to support almost everything. So I could be wrong, but I'm not 100% convinced that AI intents are needed for asset management on chain. And instead, what's needed is the combination of automation and off-chain compute, which is obviously what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely say that AI making decisions on on sort of doing any on-chain actions, that would be an experiment. That's not something that people do right now. Maybe big funds, like BlackRock or whatever, they already have those systems in place. But for open protocols that are operating in the DeFi space, that would definitely be an experiment. And like all of the experiments, it can go wrong or right, but it's definitely something to explore for the future.
Do we have any questions that we want to look at from the audience? I can't see any on my. The problem is my mobile phone Twitter doesn't pick up the comments very quickly. Okay, well, this one is, yeah, okay. So there was a question already posted yesterday. How does PowerPool address concerns regarding potential centralization? I actually answered that on chain, or on X yesterday. Power Agent is canonically decentralized. Canonically, what that means is according to the religion of Ethereum. So open source, totally decentralized, permissionless, and any number of nodes can join. And what that means is that a Power Agent is the opposite of a centralizing force in automation. If you look at some of the other things like Gelato's roll up as a system or Chainlink, their automation, they're whitelisted small heavy nodes that work for them as part of bigger bigger commitments, if you like. They are centralizing to some extent. But Power Agent is the opposite. Power Agent is the answer to the question, how do we avoid centralization and still have automation, which was missing from the EVM? The EVM probably should have been built with automation, but it wasn't. And so you need to add, just like modular. Power Agent is another module, if you like, in Ethereum's evolution towards being a modular chain. we add the automation module, and it's absolutely increasingly needed. But in order to say, yes, we are part of the Ethereum, the EVM module, we need to be canonically decentralized. In other words, we need to be a decentralizing force, not a centralizing force. And we are. That's the whole point. Does anybody else see any other questions?
Yeah, I see a question on the Twitter. I have a question for SupremeDAO. What strategies has SupremeDAO implemented to ensure transparency and accountability of its operation, particularly in managing users' assets with the Genesis strategy, and how do these measures bolster users' trust in the platform's integrity? We will be fully open source after the launch. So our smart contracts would be verifiable by the community on our GitHub page. Our strategy has most of the logic of what's going on with the strategy, and what sort of logical steps are we taking in order to manage users' funds. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
All right. Does anybody else see any other questions? Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for Paladin and SupremeDAO?
I actually found another question in Twitter as well. Could you elaborate on how SupremeDAO plans to integrate Paladin in the future to further enhance the strategy returns? So yeah, we definitely see in the future that a fraction of the yield will be automatically used on Paladin in order to bootstrap the Paladin's optimization mechanisms through bribe markets. So that's the way how we see we can sustain the yield that is required for the users for the strategy to stay profitable.
Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions. So at that point, I guess the best thing to do is just to wrap up and say that obviously we as PowerPool are extremely happy to be working with Paladin and SupremeDAO. We expect to be working with them for quite a while. We expect to help SupremeDAO roll out not just one Genesis strategy, but all of their future strategies. And it is also useful to have someone like Paladin involved in the strategies. And we feel that the roadmap for Power Agent itself is very much on track, and that adding in these projects and highlighting these projects is the best way to make sure that the network is evolving to meet the needs of the clients.
Yeah, totally. Thanks a lot for this opportunity that PowerPool provides us with, and we are really looking forward for the long-term collaboration and future events that will happen around SupremeDAO.
When do you expect the tokens to be available?
This is a great question. We don't have any timelines yet, but when we launch our Genesis strategies and we have some traction, we aim to participate in some fundraising activities in order to fund the project further, and in order to set up liquidity pools that are governed by the SupremeDAO, so we have more control over the yield generation.
Okay. And Vasily, did you have any closing remarks?
I think, yep. I just want to share that, yeah, first of all, we are really happy that finally SupremeDAO launches the strategy, so we will be happy to test it. We already doing it, and yeah, so looking forward for the points program. And since PowerPool plans to introduce our own points program and a lot of new stuff for the community really soon, I think that it can be really big synergy for PowerPool users and SupremeDAO users at the same time, and for node operators as well. So yeah, just let's keep a synergetic building here, guys.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks a lot for that, and definitely looking forward to synergize on the point systems. We actually have a lot of like really cool ideas for the points. For example, one of the idea that we had, it's not 100% confirmed, that we had an idea of leveraging the ceramic network decentralized database for points storage. I think that would make our project, more Web3 native and less dependent on the legacy infrastructure such as AWS and classic database like Postgres or whatever.
Cool, yeah. So the more decentralized like building blocks you're using in your stack, I think it's the better. So yeah, congratulations on that. Or maybe you can explore some other databases as well, as I know there are few one launching so far in mainnets now. So maybe you can even combine some point system with them. I don't know. So I will make a research and provide some ideas in the group after the call.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so thank you guys. See you on the next IMAs. Hopefully, the Genesis strategy will be launched on Genesis Day soon. So looking forward for the launch, and we will support it, of course, and try to bring as much brand awareness as possible to the product itself, to the points, opportunities, and to all this cool stuff.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Looking forward to see this
Thank
live.
you, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.